Next up, we're going to talk to you about our game of the week brought to you by Dunn Chevy in Oregon. Our game of the week, we all know it around the area. We love it. It's some taction. We've got Toledo Christian at Emmanuel Christian. That's going to be 7:15 p.m. live on BCSN or the BCSN app. Toledo Christian 10-1. Emmanuel matching 10-1 record. Although Emmanuel coming off maybe their biggest win of arguably any team in the area, that win over Maumee Valley last Saturday in overtime. Toledo Christian lost to Maumee Valley back in December. They're on a 6-game win streak since that loss. Mike Robb, what are we looking at here with this taction?
You know, I think that this is going to be a doozy. You know, and when you look at taction, you know, there's always going to be balanced matchups, and this is one where you always say coaching matters, and it matters in a lot of situations. But when you have two dominant players like, you know, Emmanuel, that's what's the difference maker, is because if Brown gets hot, then it's over. But we already know their second star is going to light up, and he is going to dominate the court. So it's how do you keep the ball away? And maybe it's a good thing that we don't have shot clocks.
Mason, you talked about it before we started recording. You think they might have a plan over at TC for how to keep Nate Miles in check?
I think it's possible.
As much as that's possible,
well,
right, yeah.
Not every coach is going to think about unorthodox defenses to slow down a player like Nate Miles. But Tyler Boris sat at the feet of Dave McWhinney for a long time, and I always saw Dave McWhinney as a mad scientist, a mad genius who would scheme up box and one, triangle and two, or something to try and keep the ball away from Nate Miles and say, all right, Jalen Brown's going to have to beat us. Anthony Trombley's going to have to beat us. Antoine Mister, Charles Folks. If they beat us, fine, but Nate Miles ain't going to beat us. And I don't think he'll be afraid to throw something unorthodox at them to try and alter the Emmanuel Christian approach. And on the other hand, if I'm Seth Harris, whom I have a ton of respect for as a tremendous young head coach, I think he'll have his guys ready for whatever Toledo Christian chooses to throw at them. The thing you have to remember, if TC does do something unorthodox against them, Emmanuel Christian is so young. Mm-hmm. They're as young as anybody in the area, with the exception of maybe Central Catholic. Right. You know, Nate Miles, yes, a generational talent, maybe. Only a sophomore. He's in 10th grade. You've got a sophomore in Tremblay that played very occasional varsity minutes at Cardinal Stritch last year, and Antoine Mister's a freshman, and Folks is a junior who's new to varsity basketball this year. He'll have them as ready as they can be, but I'm expecting this to be a whole lot of fun. Toledo Christian has scoring depth. So what does Emmanuel Christian do defensively to neutralize maybe two of the four that can score? Kalon Butler's a scorer. Xander Hessen is really good on the inside. Carter Kester is a complete guard now. He was a shooter as an underclassman. Now he's a scorer, and he's thick, and he's tough to push around.
He can do a lot of things on the court.
He can, and having Kanye Gaston back after his knee injury last year, he's an X factor for them. I think that makes all the difference in the world, having that extra score. So you got four really good scorers in that starting lineup. They have the same issue that some other teams do. We just talked about St. Francis not being very deep. Right. I don't know how much they're able to utilize their bench. I haven't seen them yet this year, but I think this could be one heck of a basketball game, and I am going to make a suggestion to anybody that wants to go and see it in person. You should watch us on BCSN with myself and Darren Cohn. If you're going to go see it, get there early. Because Emmanuel Christian, that place is so small, it's so intimate, you're so tightly packed in there, you might want to start lining up now at the door, matter of fact. Take a sleeping bag and a bunch of space heaters. You could borrow them from my upstairs. And, go hang out, and you're going to be treated to a great game. Get a burger at the concession stand.
That's exactly. We were all thinking that.
You know where I was going with straight concession stand talk, because
all of us were there.
They have the best concessions.
They do.
If you do go eat the food, because best concession in Northwest Ohio, hands down.